in 1 or 2 minutes what happened there. That will be nice.
Okay.
Good idea.
Yeah, we have
That
time
would
for
be
that.
great.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll begin with the first one, Professor Amitabh Ghosh, and uh, yeah, I have to get. Yeah.
To shorten the time, I would request Professor Rao to
Yeah,
just talk on our behalf.
yeah, yeah. So thanks for this opportunity. We had a very interesting discussion. So one of the things which was, I think there were a couple of things which were emphasized strongly. I'll probably restrict to that. So one is that particularly looking at the mechanical engineering, the basic science courses are almost like a foundation or a backbone for rest of the curricula, and it is very important to basically do these courses in a very rigorous manner. And one of the things which came out is, since there may be a different type of engineering colleges and career tracks, there is certain aspects which are very compulsory, like maths, physics, chemistry, biology, which are all, and of course, a lot of technical arts courses like engineering, drawing, material science. Many of those which were already proposed. But one of the things which was also emphasized is that while teaching maths, physics, chemistry, and biology courses, it would be good if faculty could connect the relevance of that to the branch of an engineering, which is an important. That is something which was stressed. Is a first point which came out, and second thing which was also that almost everybody was of the opinion that in the very first year when the student actually arrives, they have certain image about mechanical engineering. Just to keep that excitement alive, it's good to have some experiential activities in mechanical engineering. It could be in the form of small product building experiences to product dissection exercises, where you actually explore the engineering through a little bit your own hands-on practice, and that will also keep the students' interest alive when the student goes to actual department, maybe a year later or sometime, to do the most of these courses. So that is something which was emphasized. It was also emphasized that courses such as on human values and Indian knowledge systems, history of science and technology, some of these are extremely important. Only thing is whether they should be done in first year or maybe in second year or later, needs to be discussed a little bit more in detail. But some orientation of this, if it can happen in the first year, that would be a good one. And for the courses where sometimes we may not have a faculty, because first year courses are also like having an extremely good faculty is extremely important, because that is where the students lose interest, or it's like a make or break courses. So having a good faculty is important. In some cases, even the one can also look at like explore the availability of SWAYAM courses wherever the faculty is not available, to basically take care of this aspect. And uh, so one issue which came is key when you want to do some experiential related activities, both availability of a faculty and infrastructure is a very important. So it was also mentioned that now AICT has about 100 idea labs which are created, and these labs are also available uh, to the neighboring colleges and institutes to use it, which are actually equipped to do some of these experiential learning activities. That could be a good beginning to get started with these courses. And it was also mentioned that uh, some aspects, like if uh, if some aspect of a flipped classroom can also be brought into first year, would be a good idea. I think some of these things came. Professor Ghosh, you want to add anything which we missed?
I think you have covered all the points very much. Only thing that most of the things are already understood and agreed upon. Only thing, some policy has to be decided regarding two things I am mentioning, not only infrastructure, but one thing you have to keep in mind to maintain the interest and the passion of a teacher, and that should be recognized, which is not happening these days. That is something which may not be directly connected with our curriculum meeting, but I think you cannot have any curriculum properly implemented if you cannot motivate the teacher. And the kind of promotional policies which are happening these days just by counting research papers, project amount, money, etc., is sometimes counterproductive so far as these things are concerned.
Thank you.
Like for
Thank you
example, I am telling you, like Professor R.N. Biswas was a very famous professor of electrical engineering. He was the dean, later director also of CRA, Central Electronics Sri Pilani. But you know the number of publications he had? Zero. Even his PhD at Berkeley, he never published. But he was one of the most respected professor. Professor K.R. Sharma, another very senior professor of electrical engineering, never published anything, but he was one of the most respected professor. So I think this kind of atmosphere is gradually going away. That is what I am concerned about. Teaching, that is somebody devoting time for development of some outstanding teaching activities, should have some proper avenue of recognition. We should have. And just not having only one faculty, running something to sustain it, you need more than one faculty, maybe a couple of dozen faculty members you need. So therefore, I think these are some policy issues which are not directly related to curriculum, but a curriculum depends very much on these things. Otherwise, you start with these things, but then gradually you remove them from the curriculum, as it has happened in case of IITs.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh. So we can move to the next committee.
Professor Anil Suresh?
Yeah.
Maybe Ravi, you can.
Yeah, it's okay. Just room number 2 is about core courses, so maybe Professor Kuthe and Professor Gangadharan, right? And Professor Gavali was there. Yeah. Professor Kuthe.
Yes.
One of you summarize here, please.
Yeah. Yes, so we have discussed about the core courses in detail. Thanks to Professor Samir Khandekar, then Professor K. Ramesh and Professor Jayant Arakari, who were in our room. In general, what we have discussed is that the applied thermodynamic course, what this participant opined that in the outcome, the student should correlate the theoretical concept with the hardware available in the field. That is what is very much required. He has quoted that many times students study the boiler a lot, but they are unable to identify where is the boiler in the field. So all these things should be properly explained to them. Secondly, what they have said, like fluid mechanics and fluid machines, these two courses should not be taught as a one course. There has to be separate one full course for the fluid mechanics. Otherwise, the fluid mechanics and fluid machines together will be too heavy for the teachers also to explain and to students also to understand.
So
then,
Kuthe,
yes, sir.
Can I take the great liberty with you as a friend?
Yes, sir. Yes.
It will be good if you can just say what happened in the room. The detailed things, it will be good if you can just give it to the committee. Because we want to close at 1. We want to just give 1-2 minutes to each chairman if possible.
Okay.
So course-wise, I think course-wise we can leave it. Just say that what overall happened, what was the overall view of the whole committee.
Actually, these all professors actually discussed about this outcomes, and one important point about the these courses is that they said the experimental, all the redesign of experiment is emphasized, that you have to redesign all experiments in the theoretical courses. So this is in general, and something is mentioned about like how the change of the some of the subjects title has to be, and ultimately they have also mentioned like the student should be able to visualize some of the concepts like displacement and stress field from optical methods. So that is also been informed by the and the one part is about the vibration has to be the core course. That's what they have opined. So this is in general. Professor Bajirao, if you want to add something. Professor Bajirao.
Almost all part you have covered, summarized. We may have better discussions in core committee. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
No, thank you. I know you will give us a detailed one.
Yes.
Can we go to the next room, technology?
Yeah, Ravi, actually we forgot to record it, but we have made the notes in the same PPT, slide by slide. So can I just take 2 minutes to share it?
Yeah, that will be here.
Okay, thanks. I'm sharing the slides. One second.
Yeah, it's come up now.
It's come up now, right? Yeah. So these are all the 8 courses. On the first slide, we just made a note whether anywhere in the curriculum, whether metal additive manufacturing, AR, VR, digital twin, these kind of things are covered or not. Just to raise a question, nothing else we are suggesting. If it is not covered, maybe we can introduce a course or combine with something else to bring it up in the technology courses.
Correct.
Okay, let me move to the next one. Here, internal combustion engine, we have not touched anything here. Although there was a discussion on what about shift towards EVs, that we are addressing in the last course, which is automobile engineering.
So Pradeep, again, same comment as Professor Kuthe, and again, I forgive me for doing that. Just detailed courses, I think you can just pass on to us and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm trying to suggest, that I'm leaving the details to you, to the committee. We are just making some notes as pointers.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ravi. Yeah, this also a mechatronic system, we're keeping it. Yeah, in microprocessors and automation, we have made a note that industrial IoT is now an overarching topic, actually, which is covering many of these topics, and whether the name of the course can go towards something like IoT. Okay. And then, then computer-aided design, whether there should be an interface with 3D printing, because the geometric modeling and all, they form the foundation of the 3D printing, because otherwise it is not being addressed anywhere. So whether some element of it can go in there. Refrigeration and air conditioning, some things on the environmental regulations and issues like global, global warming potential and ozone depletion potential. Sorry, it's not GDP, it's global GWP. Sorry, I'll change that. Then shift towards natural refrigerants in a big way in the world. It's happening, especially starting from Europe, and now it has come to India also. Then addressing indoor air quality. As part of refrigeration air conditioning, especially in the wake of this pandemic, people have realized that the norms needs to be changed as far as the indoor air quality is concerned, the fresh air requirement and all. And then usage of sensors also. This also interfaces with the IoT, but we need to introduce something on the special sensors over here. Then finite element analysis. Whether commercial codes, hypermesh, etc., which are relevant for industry are already there or not. If not, some element of it needs to come. And can we introduce CFD? Because nowadays the commercial packages like ANSYS, they come with the FEM-based solid mechanics analysis as well as CFD in a single package. And just introducing, not combining a course, because CFD requires a separate course, but just introducing elements of it. And then under automobile engineering, this needs some revision, especially on the EV side, the special drives for the EVs, then sensors and actuators for autonomous driving, and safety aspects and crashworthiness, whether it should be brought in over here. And that's it. So these are the notes you can share with let me unshare now. Okay, Rafi, I hope I didn't take too much time.
No. Actually, it was worth it because every point is valuable. We also feel that it could even be CFD, for example.
Yeah, just want to add, we were there in the same room, Dr. Chandrasekhar and Dr. Sridharan. Dr. Chandrasekhar, do you want to add anything?
No, absolutely fine. I think Professor Ravi just want to indicate that the number of courses which were indicated under technology, they are only notional. Maybe we'll come back to you with the expansion of the list.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for that. Okay. Then the next one is, I think, interdisciplinary and all that. So Suresh was there.
Yeah. I think I just prepared a slide. So I'll just share it and finish it with just one slide. Yeah.
Sure.
So do you see my slide now, Ravi?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So this slide summarizes what we have discussed. We discussed both the topics which are listed here. You can read, but how to do it was more important. So what emerged in our discussion was that it can be done in three ways. One is to have interdisciplinary verticals where students choose 3 electives within their 165, 168 credits or whatever. Within that, if they choose 3 courses, that will be called a vertical. If they're interested, they can choose that. Second is they can do additional courses. That is, in addition to 168, 165 credits, they can take 5 or 6 courses additionally and get a minor in any of these disciplines or more also. Other one, which some IITs and others practice now, which is to have a dual degree, where they have to spend 1 semester or 2 semesters, and that will be decided after 2 years of study, because most of them come with their rank and they choose the branch. But now if they like something, any of these areas or more, they can do it. That's how we came up with. That's very quick summary, Ravi.
Oh, that's fantastic. But there was one question I think someone asked. What is the difference between inter, multi, and transdisciplinary? You might want to clear that.
That's another talk. So I guess there are different ways to look at it. I mean, just if you go to good etymology, multi is basically mixing. Inter is at the interface of 2 things, and trans is where one discipline actually transforms into another one. So that was, but again, more explanation is needed for that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good start. And then we had the next room was. Do you have track of that? I think
projects.
Yeah, I think project applications, things like that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Naga, go ahead, please.
So my slide is visible?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Actually, of course, I listed names in case if required, we can go back for the details.
Yes.
Essentially, what we discussed is there any provision for the students if somebody has a special, like somebody's come up with a patent or somebody's started doing an engineering? That was one option, how to motivate the students to have that. And second is there is like people always believe in now Google than the books. So bringing them back to the classroom is an issue. So maybe the ideation lab, Tinker's lab would make them attraction so that they build back to the campus. And then there are a lot of discussion has happened, reformation of examination, because particularly the type 2, type 3 is an issue because faculty teaches only based on the examination, 5 years question paper. So that is more passing, number of passing is more important than the learning. Then another aspect is how to impart the practical skills with the limited resources, particularly in the mechanical engineering. One is virtual laboratory is one of the option. Of course, virtual laboratory and then practical exposure on the laboratory or the industrial industries. Another industry expert Lakshminarayan suggested that is not only responsibility of the academy, it is a responsibility of all. Can we think of some kind of policy which makes compulsory for industries to engage a good number of students? Because colleges nowadays, all branches has 300 students. So how to impart the practical skills there? In summary, is basically practice-based learning is no longer an option. And imparting industry required skill set, I think Amit was saying about 60 to 80 skill sets are required in typical industry. So maybe some of the skill sets we need to impart before they graduate, at least during 6th to 7th. And virtual laboratory, definitely it will de-risk as far as the capital investment is concerned. And yes, it is everybody's responsibility. Thank you.
That's great. And also the list of the 60 will be good to have. That will be nice.
That is the reason I will make more details. Maybe we can go back to the experts.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Professor Sangeeta, you would like to summarize?
Okay, thank you. So we had a good discussion in our session. So I'll identify 4 or 5 points which emerged. So one thing which emerged very clearly was that we ought to teach our students, expose our students to a course on something called science for learning, science of learning. So how to be good students, how to actually learn. So this I thought was a very important point, which was a takeaway for me as well, because I never explicitly thought that we can expose the students to something like that. So another aspect which I think many participants emphasized on was connecting them to the society through a formal course. So it should either be a course on Science Technology Society or Technology in Society. The title can be, various options can be there. But the idea is to talk about the impact of technology on society and vice versa. So this is something which came out very, very strongly. Third point was on the need for including ethics, a course on ethics, including professional ethics, in which one can talk about the ethical choices and the ethical dilemmas, which is something which we are already actually doing at IIT. We already have it as part of our curriculum, compulsory curriculum. So one more point which emerged actually before most of the participants joined was to emphasize that if there is a course on communication, which is an existing course, it is a 300 course. So if we want to teach them communications, it cannot be a lecture-based course. It has to be a lab level course, practical course. Yeah. So these are the 4 points which I would like to highlight. If I have left out anything, maybe Professor Ravi can add.
Just that the word empathy came up multiple times, so saying that, but also, of course, science and society is kind of part of that. Other than that, I think only other point is that they should also know the science of learning, because I think mostly teachers have to become facilitators, and also we have to maybe a course or maybe a method to get students to learn on their own. I think maybe also good to have.
That is what I mentioned in the first. That was the first thing I mentioned.
So that's more or less. I think we covered everything. So maybe Professor Suresh, back to you.
So maybe Professor Gangadharan has anything, so because we missed out. It was my co-chair.
Okay.
Yeah, we only made that comment. There is nothing specific to add. We said the resource crunch is quite a serious issue. Hence, we need to go in remote and make all the labs available to the colleges in and around, because we do have time. I mean, we can very well work up to at least 12 hours in a shift, wherein things can happen. So that is one point which resource crunch can be avoided. Thank you.
True. Thank you. Professor Dilip, maybe you would like to say something, and if Professor Sahasrabudhe is still there and he would like to add something.
Professor Ravi,
both of you.
I have just 30 seconds I want.
Sure.
Because of the fact that whatever Professor Gangadharan is mentioning is relevant to practically most of the courses and subjects. Do you want to suggest in the conclusions that this virtual laboratory approach could be considered as a de facto practice wherever applicable for all the subjects?
Not only that, yes to that. Not only that, to the extent possible, can we even think of making all courses by default, let's say 2:1, matlab two theory and 1 lab or 1 tutorial, something like that by default. And there will be some exceptions where you do not want a lab. So other way, turn the thing on the other way around. Make it practical oriented in some sense. But the practical part could be either a real one or a simulation one. So absolutely agree with you. So Professor Dilip, would you like to say something? And after you, Professor Sahasrabudhe, if you are still there and would like to add something.
Sir is there.
Yeah, please.
Sir is there. Yeah, I was listening to the chairman of all the breakout sessions. And as you know, the challenge that we have is 160 credits. We already exceeded that, and now it is 163. Probably in the past also, we started with 160, then it increased from from 160 to 170, 80, and it had reached 200. And in the last revision 2018, we have brought it down to 160. And a common message that is coming from all the breakout sessions is to include something more, make it compulsory. And therefore, there is a threat now for all of us to, to again probably exceed that 160. So that will be a challenge. But solution, of course, is to put some of the courses under professional electives, which will be close to the branch of mechanical engineering, because we are dealing with mechanical engineering here. As a policy, the same policy will be applicable also to other branches of engineering. And of course, because it is also necessary to have the breadth to be provided to students, and therefore it is necessary that they should also learn data science, mechatronics, sensors, actuators, and all other things which are becoming very, very essential, and we agree to it. And therefore, I think the open elective from other departments would be a good choice. Only thing is that there will be more number of courses which we'll have to make available. And as far as some students who would be interested to take additional degree, as Professor Sujata mentioned, as an IIT Madras model, one more year they will get a master's degree. But if they spend about 3 months, 4 months of time, we already have made a provision for getting this minor degree or honors degree. So honors comes in the same field, and minor will come from the other field. So data science is something which was discussed in one of the room with a greater details. So there are other issues like first year courses, science. We thought we will have it in the first year, or we should have it in the second year. That's something is not yet addressed, and we need to probably discuss in our own committee later. Exit, provision for exit is something which nobody discussed, and we will have to discuss about it later. UHV, including the universal human values, ethics, which Professor Kohli mentioned. So that is a very important point, and we will see how it can be accommodated. Something which I was looking for is the discussion on how to provide this internship. Was there any discussion on providing one full semester internship, or it is only during vacation, 2 months? That I was looking for. So certain things are definitely discussed, and I would like to congratulate all of you. This just reminds me of the Constitution of India. So Constitution, fathers, framers made one statement that how your good constitution is, it depends on how it is implemented. So same thing applies here. But as Constitution kept on amending, and I think 42nd was the major amendment, I think this particular revision under your leadership, Professor B. Ravi, is going to be a major amendment of this mechanical engineering curriculum. Thank you. Over to you now.
Professor Anil, would you like to add something? Your final comments.
Thank you, Ravi. It was a wonderful learning experience from assets, different people. And one of the things, learning from this is science of learning. In fact, what is so important, we talk about lifelong learning, but unless we create a structure where students will be in a position to learn by themselves, the science of learning as a subject, and our job is only to create interest, create enthusiasm, create inquisitiveness in the minds of students. We can't cover everything that is required in the curriculum of 4 years program. You do something, someone else will say, "Ye nahi hai." So someone else will say that is not there, this is not there. So I think we cannot cater to the requirement of any particular industry, any particular research institute, any particular government. And therefore, we must decide what are the core values which are important, core courses which are important, and then leave it to the student to learn on his own. And that's why that T is important. The T structure where horizontal enough width is given, And the depth part of it, a student should be having liberal attitude to discuss, decide with his advisor, with other friends, and do something specialized or some elective courses and become employable, create an entrepreneurial venture out of that. That is his choice. So I think that kind of a liberal attitude we must take. One part which Alkhadeji rightly pointed out, but he also missed out and I also missed out, was in AICT this time when we said that if someone has not done during their grade 11, 12, either physics or maths or chemistry, we can still give admission, but they must be prepared fully well in their first year of education. I think that is a big challenge, because we also learned from many people that most of the science that they have learned is being repeated in the first year. So therefore, students get disinterested. Whatever they have learned in 11th and 12th, especially CBSE syllabus is so advanced these days, we are repeating the same thing. While on one side, some amount of consolidation is important, but something which one has already done, he should be given something extra, something higher level of physics or something higher level of math. How do we do it? Whether should we do it in that case in the first year itself? So the first year physics, chemistry, maths must be for those who are weak. Those who are already good in that, they must probably do it in second year, and they may even do some electives in third year of physics or mathematics elective, whereby they will even look at how design thinking and also mathematical thinking can be joined together. I think there are many challenges, a lot of flexibility which the policy talks about multiple exit, multiple entry, academic bank of credits. If you have done some program in some education system, you may go to another place. The definition of credit, standardization. I think there are many challenges apart from this. And Professor Ghosh rightly pointed out that our entire focus sometimes shifts like a pendulum. You know, we say that research is important. Without research, no one can teach. And therefore, everyone should become researcher. And in the process, everything, you know, our promotions, everyone gets linked with research, publications, patents. And then they will lose teaching interest in, and they don't do any teaching. And when you say that, no, Professor Ghosh, you said that one must be a passionate teacher, then they will leave research altogether. I think we need a absolute judicious mix of both. Research has to be also done, otherwise we cannot progress. And therefore, every teacher must have at least that bent of mind, like science of learning. Science of research is also to be inculcated amongst faculty members. So the 8 modules which AICT has developed, thanks to Professor Kuncha and committee, we are already having it in the form of MOOC. So nearly 24 credit of learning for teachers. If you do that, I'm sure education system will get transformed in much better manner. Thank you very much.
No, this is great. So Suresh, you want me to just say a few pointers in a minute or so, and then you can close?
Okay, I think I have to thank everyone, so I will probably last to speak. If there is anything else that you want to say,
I'll just take half a minute in that case.
Sure, please.
So the way I'm looking at the entire session today and kind of things to remember, I think just pointed out a few points. I'll just say it in 5 quick lines. One is that mechanical engineering is most versatile branch, but also needs to change because of to become more relevant in the current times. That's my point number 1. Point number 2 is that I think our curriculum has to become student-centric in the sense what they want to do or need to do. And so we have to meet the requirements of the end users, whether students or their employers, is my second takeaway. The third is that curriculum actually connects the students with the teachers. And so that is our instrument or the tool to achieve what we have to achieve. Fourth is that, of course, what you yourself said, mindset, skill set, and the network that we have to establish, and also the lifelong learning and science of lifelong learning is what you have to impart in the curriculum. Fifth is that I think overall as a curriculum, we need to connect science to engineering, to technology, to practice, which nicely acronym becomes STEP, STEP. And we start from the end, which is immersion in the society, and then come back to maybe connecting theory and practice is my 5th point. And finally, teachers are the people who are going to implement that. And to take a quotation from someone I admired, teachers have to become very difficult job, from covering a syllabus to uncovering a syllabus to letting the students discover the knowledge of mechanical engineering. From information transmitters to inspiring people is what they have to do. But their training and their motivation, of course, has to be worried about. These are my 5 takeaways as guiding principles for as we go along with our curriculum revision. But Suresh, back to you.
Yeah, Thank you, Ravi, for summarizing today's session. And it's my pleasant duty to thank all of you. You have taken half a day time and in this uncomfortable mode of online interaction. I thank AICTE for giving us the opportunity, and also INAE. Professor Manna was very generous, and that's how we have INAE representative also in this session. And AICTE, at AICTE, Dr. Pradeep Bhaskar and Rakesh have been very helpful. And of course, Professor Dilip Malkede has been guiding us in terms of organizing the whole thing. Of course, Professor Ravi and our committee members. And in IISc, my colleagues, Professor Navneet Krishnan and Alok Kumar, have spent a lot of time in handling the logistics. And also my other colleague Haridasan has been behind the scenes. He's still there in the meeting. He's also helped us to carry through this thing. And I thank all of you for attending this. And we hope that we are finally the customers at IISc. All the students who graduate come here to do masters and PhD, and we have a lot of interest in seeing that undergrad curriculum gets improved in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Satish, I didn't see you earlier. Huh?